and Your Worship, and Mr. Chairman, and friends in government, and friends in the CAW, and everywhere else, and friends at General Motors. And I'm delighted to be here this afternoon, and I very much appreciate people coming out today. And I'm very pleased to be here in Oshawa and to announce directly to you the plans for the construction of a new consolidated courthouse in downtown Oshawa. The courthouse will bring the courtrooms from the Durham region under one single roof. It will be built on the former General Motors lands in downtown Oshawa. The construction of the consolidated courthouse will create approximately 2,000 local jobs. Court operations will now be more accessible and will operate more efficiently in one location, which will save taxpayers' dollars. And the new courthouse will also be a significant investment in the revitalization of downtown Oshawa. I would just like to make a couple of points about this announcement this afternoon, and to say, first of all, that it would not have been possible without the vision and the leadership of Mayor Diamond and of the whole of the Oshawa City Council. Alan Pilkey and I had a meeting with the mayor several months ago in which we talked about the potential for the development of downtown Oshawa, and also talked about the need for a combination of public and private investment which would literally change the face of the downtown and give it the kind of vitality and the kind of renewal which it clearly needs. We have the land, we have the generosity of General Motors, we have the generosity of the city, we have the opportunity, and we have the compelling needs in the public sector with respect to the improvement of courthouse development and the improvement of the justice system, which the courthouse so clearly speaks to. So to us, it was a question of creating the partnerships which will allow us to proceed, allow us to go ahead, and making sure that we've got everything in place which will allow that to happen. Now, many people will say to me, well, Premier, how is it that we are able to do this? You've been talking about the impacts of other people's budgets and all the things that are in place. How is it that it's possible to make these kinds of investments? And it's very simple. We're able to make these investments today, tomorrow, and into the future. We're able to improve our quality of life. We're able to continue to make investments because we've had to make some very difficult decisions, and we will continue to have to make difficult decisions in which we save money on the operating side and make a point of doing that. But I want to say to this group here this afternoon, we are not going to be thrown off course by virtue of the decisions that others may make. We are going to continue to invest in jobs because the only way in which we can secure an effective recovery is if it puts people back to work. We have an opportunity now to do that with an investment in people and an investment in infrastructure. That's why we've built the expansion of Durham College. It's why we're rebuilding the Whitby Psychiatric Hospital. It's why we've expanded the GO Transit network, and it's why we're making the announcement today, and we're going to continue to do this into the future. Secondly, because we know that the reform and the improvement of our services has to continue, but that also requires some new investment. We made the investment in the Regional Cancer Center, knowing that these are going to be significant improvements for the future, and we've been able to do this because of the willingness of everybody in the province to pitch in with the plans that we set out 2 years ago and which have had such a dramatic success. 200,000 jobs in the last several months. The ability for us to say that the unemployment in Oshawa is coming down. We're continuing to make improvements. And I think it's very important for us to continue to provide hope for people and a sense of the need to invest in the future. I believe very strongly that there is a legitimate question on people's minds. What kind of a world are we leaving to our children and our grandchildren? I must say, as a father, and I suppose one day potentially a grandfather, these are thoughts that cross my mind all the time. I can tell you, I want it to be a world in which our downtowns of every city in this province are vital and are being renewed, in which we are not afraid to continue to make investments, in which we have the courage to go forward, the courage to continue to invest, and to make a difference in the lives of people. To know that we serve nothing, and we do not serve the economy, we do not serve the future, if we refuse to make the investments today that are going to be so important in the lives of people. So yes, it's a vision of the future. It's a vision that's based on investing, on putting jobs first, on working with local municipalities where we can get that investment moving forward, where we understand that crime will grow and the deterioration will increase if we're not prepared to make those investments, but that the quality of life and the quality of our economy come together in the new vision which we're putting forward. And so this investment, which would not have been possible without Mayor Diamond's leadership, and if I may say so, without the persistence and the determination of Mr. Pilkey, who is a former mayor and I think knows something of the history of this project and the history of these lands, and certainly in my experience has been one of the most effective and persistent, determined people that I've had to deal with in making sure that we understood that developments needed to happen and needed to take place. So I'm delighted to have been able to do that. We're delighted to be in a position to make these investments, and I want to assure you that we are determined to stay in a position and to remain in a position where we're going to be able to make these investments. And I look forward to coming back to the opening of the courthouse sometime towards the end of this century. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. I must join my colleagues in saying what a pleasure it is for me to be here today. And what a pleasure it is as Attorney General to see the justice system finally recognized as the centerpiece that it truly is to our communities. I want you to know that we are very, very thrilled as a ministry to have been able to participate with the city of Oshawa and with all of the players that you see before you in planning as a centerpiece of economic development in the downtown area. A courthouse that is badly needed has been looked forward to for a long time by all those who work in the justice system. There are many different reasons why we would go forward with a consolidated courthouse. The primary one, of course, is to bring better and more efficient and more effective justice services to the people of the Durham region. The second is to provide a safer, more efficient, more comfortable workplace for all the dedicated and hardworking people who make our court system a reality. The courthouse will provide the judiciary and the crowns with better opportunity to do the very concentrated work that they have engaged on in trying to improve the caseload flow, to try and serve better through their various ways of working in the justice system. Most of you are aware that we have 21 courtrooms currently in the Durham region, scattered among 6 different sites in Oshawa, Whitby, and Bowmanville. A consolidated courthouse will be more cost-effective, something that all of us as taxpayers really care about these days. The government will be able to share its resources and reduce its expenses. Area residents and those of you who've had occasion to go to court will enjoy faster and easier one-stop services and no longer will be confused about which courthouse it is that you're supposed to appear at. It should involve a lot less travel time and a lot more certainty. New security features will ensure that everyone, the general public and those working in the courthouse, feel safer and more secure as they do their work. The new courthouse will be built to accommodate and serve all members of the community. There will be witness rooms, a special waiting area for children. I hope the family support offices will also be located here. In addition, the courthouse will be built to meet the needs of people with disabilities. It will feature barrier-free access to the facility and all of its courtrooms. The courts will be accessible to individuals who want to watch the proceedings and be part of the process and will include special service counters for those who are physically challenged. The courthouse will also be designed to accommodate people who are hearing or sight impaired. Incorporated into the design will be the capacity to use the developing technologies that are new to our justice system to ensure that we maximize our efficiency and to improve customer satisfaction with justice services. In addition to meeting the changing needs of the justice system itself, this consolidated courthouse will respond to your growing and changing community in the region. I want to express my personal thanks to all the people who've been involved in getting the process for a new Durham Regional Courthouse up and running, including the bar, the judiciary, the ministry staff, those at the Ontario Realty Corporation, and in particular, the politicians at the provincial and the local level who have worked so hard to ensure that the community has these facilities. And in particular, I want to thank Mayor Nancy Diamond, also a persistent politician, her council, and the city staff. We welcome and appreciate your partnership. We're trying to respond to the changing needs of your community and the changing needs of a justice system which should be the centerpiece and the mark of pride of our community. And it is with great pleasure that we can say we are making significant progress in building and renovating courthouses across the province, and we are so pleased that the Durham region will be one of the recipients of those new facilities. Thank you very much.
Larry was telling me how he used to work in this theater back when it was a den of ill repute where they served liquor and other kinds of beverages. I remember it from a different time, a time when the lights were not quite so bright, and one attended at the back, watched films, one had visions of future events with one's accompanying partners. This was a great theater. It still is, and it has been resurrected for totally new purposes. And so similarly, downtown Oshawa, which was a boy I knew full well, which had different uses. The GM building was different now than it was then by far. And downtown Oshawa, which has suffered greatly in the last few years, which has been depleted, will now again be boosted through a significant investment. Along with Alan and Larry and Jim and Gord, I've had the privilege of representing this area, and of course this is in my riding, as will the courthouse be. But it's a particularly important event for all of us. It is true that it's not every day we have these kinds of opportunities. Not every day, but frequently enough. Frequently enough with the Cancer Treatment Center, with the Durham College Skills investments, and with new investments in so many areas that we have been able to work together to ensure that we have been able to get a fair share for all of Durham region. Not just for my riding, although I certainly welcome the good work that we've been able to produce here, but for all of us, so that our community as a whole will be better off through strategic investments. And those investments don't come about simply by saying, oh, gee willikers, wouldn't it be nice? They come about through the hard work, through the dedication, through the sacrifice that the Premier mentioned. We are able to offer new investments in our community because we are making some sacrifices, some wise choices. And that's why it's a particularly important event for us today to be looking at this kind of investment, the thousands of new jobs that will be created, and the essential infrastructure for our downtown, for the center of Durham region. I want to thank the Premier and the Attorney General and all of you for coming out today. This is an important event for all of us, I know, but particularly for those who have worked so hard to make it come to fruition. Thank you again.
First of all, share this moment and this day with members of Oshawa Council. And I'll just take a minute, but I'd like to introduce them, because without a team, we are nothing. And without the collective of council, things will not happen in this city. I hope I won't miss anyone. We're not in order, but I'll just start here where I can see. Councillor Irv Harrell. Councillor Robert Luchik. Councillor Jack Wiley. The Downtown Dynamo, Councillor Dina Dykstra. Councillor Al Mason. Councillor Joe Colodzi. Dina's partner in crime in Ward 7, Councillor Kathy Clark, great supporter. Councillor Judy Spring. Councillor John Gray. Councillor Jim Potticari. Councillor Pauline Beale. Councillor Brian Nicholson. I was going to say for the downtown, Councillor Kevin Campbell, but no, I'll skip across. Councillor Nestor Pidrebecki. Do I have all members of council? Okay. Now, on behalf of all members of council, what a great day for this city. We so much appreciate Mr. Premier, ministers, to all the MPPs. I don't think that you could bring a better gift to this city. We talk about partnerships now, and yet this is indeed the reality. We had the full support of Labour. We had the support of 3 levels of government. We had the cooperation from General Motors, and we had the Chamber and the Downtown Oshawa Board of Management and the Downtown Action Committee. What a formidable force to set loose on behalf of this city. And I think what we've shown today is what can happen when we do indeed work cooperatively. The Attorney General spoke in terms of the tradition of courthouses, and I think all of us can think back to our childhood. It was between the courthouse and the church, which one had the prominent site in your town. And I know in my hometown that courthouse was up the hill, and everything in town depended on its relationship to the courthouse. Let's do that in Oshawa, because that's what we're going to do, is reestablish the core, reestablish the strength, and just show what it means to do business with this city. I also want to particularly thank the MPPs, because it's very difficult. For the Premier, for the Minister, and across this province, everyone needs something. And so to listen to us and to say, because we came in and we said we have a partnership, and they say, oh yes, doesn't everyone? We said, no, we really mean it. And we said, you know, if you can, 24 hours, we'll fill the Regent Theatre if you say yes, Premier. And we will do that, and we have. But we said we'll bring it together, and this will be the first step. Because if you, Premier, have the courage, and if you have the faith in this community, and you have always shown that, then we know that the private investors will come. And we know that this will multiply many times over for hundreds and thousands of jobs and many more $1 million of investment. But throughout these last few weeks, when I have worked particularly with the Honourable Alan Pilkey, Alan and I didn't have that much time to work together when we were on council together. And so it has been quite an enlightening experience in the last few weeks. We have found a most effective team and have talked 1, 2, 3 times a day during that time in order to achieve this goal. And so I also extend appreciation to Alan. 1 year ago, March the 3rd, we met with the Premier, and we said we have an idea. And the Premier came for 15 minutes, and he stayed for an hour. I thought, well, it's working. And as the Premier left my office, he said, think big, Nancy, think big. And everyone around me quaked. But we took that as instruction, we took that as hope, and we found our determination in those words. And so on behalf of all of us, I'm proud to thank the Premier, thank the MPPs, the Attorney General, because we will make this a success. And we're going to take the opportunity today to already move into the next phase, because we don't hang around and wait for opportunity in Oshawa. We make things happen. And so I'm going to give you the first look at the urban design concept of downtown Oshawa. This has been prepared by our staff, and it's been in readiness for this moment, because a concept is a dream, but we needed someone to have the faith to kickstart that dream. An urban design concept will help us attract investment to the community, because as investors come in, they'll see that we've done our homework and that we haven't left all those studies on the shelf, much as some people think. We've drawn them together and we've said, what could we do? What kinds of gateways? What kinds of nodes? What kinds of urban massing do we want? And just as this decision was made today in the concept of sustainable development, just as economic, social, and environmental considerations were taken into account, so too will the future of this city. I would ask members of Oshawa Council to join me to the left, and I would ask the Premier to join us so that we can publicly thank him that the first step has been taken because of the faith of his government, and that the Council, the citizens of the city of Oshawa, and indeed throughout Durham will now join to create a Vision 2000. And this concept was launched today for ongoing public discussion. Thank you for coming, and let's move into the next century together.